Hey, what is going on everyone? In this video I'm giving you a quick demonstration of Android L. Now, there's a few things to keep in mind before I go into the demonstration. The first thing is that this is not publicly available for manufacturers like Samsung, Sony, HTC, LG. They just can't release it to the public yet because Android L is still in developer mode. It's designed for app developers to use and preview, make their apps so when Android L is available publicly and ready and stable, then their apps will be fully compatible and ready to use right off the bat. One of the most annoying things about owning a Nexus device is when you get a new version of Android, a lot of the apps in Google Play aren't compatible. So I think Google is finally, very late, but finally realizing that they need to fix that. So this is a developer preview. It's not stable, it's not complete, but it gives you good ideas what to expect from Android L. Now the next thing to explain is the name, Android L, because you'll notice that usually the names of Android versions are done in alphabetical order of dessert names. For example, you had Jelly Bean, then you had Kit Kat, which is what we're on now, and Android L, we don't know what it stands for yet. We don't know if it's going to be Android 4.5 or Android 5.0 even. So I'm just showing you what features are new, but we can expect hopefully more from Google when it's stable and finally released to the public. So let's get straight into the demonstration. So final note before I get into the demonstration is that you guys might be wondering, how did I get Android L on my Nexus 5 smartphone? Well, it's actually quite easy, and I have another video explaining and showing how to achieve that. It's very easy. You can find a link to that video on how to get Android L on the Nexus 5. The link is in the video description. For everyone else who's just curious about what it looks like so far, let's continue on with the demonstration. So what you have here on the lock screen, of course, is new notification setup. Android L seems to be put like a lot of emphasis on notifications, and here on the lock screen itself you're getting notifications up front and center. Of course you have the usual like swipe to camera, swipe to call, which will allow you to just go straight to a dialer, but the emphasis of course is on notifications. You're getting them here right off the bat. Now if you go to the padlock and swipe up, it'll unlock the phone like usual, but for notifications, if you were to simply double tap on one, for example, it would go to that notification, it would open that app, and of course you can always just swipe away your notifications right from there so they're not disturbing you. And of course notifications are changed in the notification drawer. But before I show you that, the home screen itself, nothing special, nothing too fancy and new here, although one key thing to note is of course the on-screen hardware control buttons. You'll notice that the back button is now a triangle, home button is a circle, and the multitask button is a square, and it's completely transparent. You can see straight into the wallpaper. So the notification drawer is still completely transparent, or more transparent than previously rather, and you notice that swiping down once will bring my notifications. Now to get to the quick access controls, you have to swipe down a second time. And of course you will notice that auto rotate has finally been added. Unfortunately, one thing still plaguing Android, well stock Android anyway, is of course quick access to turning on and off mobile data. So if I have my SIM card in the phone, which I was testing during the week, what I would do is tap on the mobile data bar, but then it wouldn't just turn on mobile data, it would go into the mobile data system settings menu and then you have to turn it on from there. So Google still hasn't fixed that problem. Whereas manufacturers like HTC, Sony, Samsung, and so on and so forth have a quick toggle button to turn mobile data on and off straight from this menu. And notice that adjusting the brightness is a lot faster and more convenient. I'm actually liking that. And of course here you have a cast screen button, which of course is convenient if you have a device like say Chromecast plugged into your TV. You just press that and it would mirror your device's screen onto your media player device connected to your TV. As for notifications alerts, there's a new menu available, so simply tapping here on notifications would allow you to adjust volume. That's normal, but there's a new button here that's do not disturb. So if I were to tap it, what it would do, it was ask, do you want to turn off notifications? Now you can set a timer, so you can turn notifications off for 1 hour, 2, and up to 8. But then you have more options available until you turn this off. And of course, if you tap more settings, you get additional settings. You can turn off alerts for phone calls, messages, so on and so forth, and even set a time. So if you're sleeping, you don't want to receive notifications, you can actually turn that off. And of course, for system settings menus, you notice that there's a new bar. Previously, you had different slider bars, here you can either slide or just tap, but you'll notice that the animation has been changed, and it's very, very smooth. All the animations in Android L have been extremely smooth for me. In fact, they're smoother than Android KitKat, believe it or not. It's noticeable. And of course, the interface itself has been redesigned with a new system theme, which Google calls Material Design. It's kind of similar to what you expect from Google now, their card layout style. For example, if I hit the multitask button, now you're getting like a card system setting style. You'll notice that they're not just plain boring boxes. They actually look like cards that you would see in Google Now app. But the material design doesn't just end there. If you go to, say, a system app like, for example, the calculator, you notice that just the way things slide, the animation is very smooth. Things have been placed an emphasis on animation, smoothness, basically. So there are very subtle changes with the system settings UI, like the interface, but they're very clean, cleaner than ever. I didn't think that would be possible for Google to achieve, but they have done it. Things are very smooth, very clean. Even the system settings menu is bright white. It's a lot more vibrant, but you know, everything else is pretty much generic and the same, not too difficult to navigate. In fact, navigation has more emphasis than ever. For example, here in the system settings menu, you now have a search bar. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's finally a search bar. But who would want to benefit from this? So if I were to search Wi-Fi, you get a whole bunch of options as to which options you can set with Wi-Fi settings. I can actually see the Samsung Galaxy S and Note series phones as benefiting from this the most. I love those series, the Galaxy S and the Galaxy Note series, but their system settings menu from Samsung is an atrocious mess. Actually, while I'm here, what I wanted to show you guys was the version of Android, because it's unknown if this is going to be Android 4.5 or Android 5.0. And if you notice, if I go to Android version, it just says L. So in this developer preview version, it seems as though Google still hasn't decided are they going to keep it as Android 4.0 or Android 5.0. If I had to take a guess, I would say 5.0. I could be wrong, but that's just my assumption. Battery now has more emphasis on how your battery percentage is being drained. You'll notice that now there's time and, well, date rather, listed as well. And of course you have kind of a assumption as to how quickly your battery will drain. So at the rate I've been using it, my Nexus 5 battery is predicted to die in a day and 15 hours. Of course, that's just an estimation. But there's something even cooler here added from Google, and that of course is a built-in battery saver mode. Now this has been placed in heavy emphasis by HTC and Samsung devices, Sony devices, but now it's in stock Android. There's a battery saving mode which will lower the performance of your phone at a certain percentage to save battery, and of course you can select between 5% and 20%. And speaking of power, while your device is plugged in, you finally get an estimation as to how long is left for your device to fully charge. So what happens is when you first plug it in, it says nothing except charging, but after a few minutes, as you'll notice, now it says an hour and 28 minutes left until it's full. That's because it takes the first few minutes of charging for the device to estimate how long it's going to take to fully charge. But yeah, you can finally see how long it's going to take to fully charge your battery, which is, I know, a long-waited feature from Android. Now, let's not forget about the developers. Now, if you are a developer, I would assume that you would have tried Android L by now, but if not, or if you're just curious as to what to expect for developers, well, the developer options is huge now. It's like, it was always long, but this time it is bigger than ever. And of course, one thing to note is that up until now, Android has been running on Dalvik, but my assumption is that with Android L, it's going to be working solely on ART. And of course, for the system settings, well, the developer options rather, in specific, you have a whole bunch of options. Now, there are some animation options you can play around with. You shouldn't play with these options if you don't know what you're doing. For example, the window animation scale, you'll notice how quick that window popped up, but if I turn it to 10x, it's a lot slower. 10 times slower, to be specific. So there are cool little things you can play around with built into stock Android, but again, you should try not to play around with these options too much. Now, there's going to be more to expect from Android L in the final version, but I can't really demonstrate them because, again, this is not the final version of Android L. In fact, when Android L is officially released to the public and is stable, I'll be sure to make another video demonstrating all the new features that are included in Android L, including what I've just gone in this video. So be sure to check out my YouTube channel when Android L is finally released. Come back, watch that video, and let's see what great things you can expect from Google at that time. Now, if you guys found this video useful, be sure to check out my Facebook, Google+, Twitter links also in the video description. Hit the like button, it does help, subscribe, and thanks for watching.